Hey, we're live. Welcome to another Nerd Soccer interview, everyone. And this is a Kickstarter Unboxed segment. Good afternoon. This is Greg Glory, aka Social Greg, on Twitter for the Nerd Soccer Media Network. Today, we're pleased to continue our series on Kickstarter Unboxed, where we dive into interesting Kickstarter campaigns, both current and past. And today, we talk with Paul Droege, founder of SunPort, which allows you to use solar energy without the use of solar panels. So this is kind of cool. That's why we wanted to get Paul online here. A little bit about Paul. He's a power engineer by degree and training, but he goes back to Westinghouse days. So that's sorry about dating you, Paul, but that's what I found out online. And a danger of the internet, right? And have been an entrepreneur in the B2B electric sales since the 90s. So he's been into this power electric stuff for a long time. So anyway, good afternoon, Paul. Thanks for joining us here on Nerd Soccer live from New Mexico.
That's right. Hi, Greg. Good talking to you.
Yeah. So I mean, let's get into this. Tell the Nerd Soccer audience about this SunPort product. It's really interesting.
So the basic concept is that if you use solar as a service rather than becoming a producer, it's just that much more accessible. It's really like what's going on throughout a lot of the world, where things are getting broken down into really a service platform rather than requiring you to own assets. So Airbnb doesn't own hotel rooms, but they sell a lot of accommodations nonetheless. And what we do is we acquire the rights to solar that's being fed into the grid, and then we communicate that to the little SunPort device. Wherever you plug it in, you end up using solar without having to own the panels.
That's interesting. And tell me about how you actually deliver solar energy without solar panels to us when we buy your product.
Well, so this is pretty non-intuitive. Most people think that we actually track electrons through the grid. Can't do that. I wish I could. If I could, I'd be a rich man. But there's no way to do that. And so the way that it's done is information. And whenever solar is fed into the grid, it's actually measured at that point, and then it's turned into certified information that says this much went in at this time from this location. And that almost is like a claim check. And then that information can be acquired, it can be bought, and then consumed in conjunction with generic grid electricity, and that's how you get renewable energy through the grid. And so, for instance, Apple's running their stores on 100% renewable energy. You probably have seen that on the front of their stores these days. That's essentially how they're doing it. What we've done is we've taken that same system and just made it plug and play simple for consumers. So you don't have to understand that. You don't have to acquire the certificates and stuff on your own. It's all baked into our product and our app.
So tell the audience about these certificates. This is really fascinating to me because tell us a little bit about the history and why they were created and stuff like that.
Yeah, so they were actually created, I think, in the late 80s, early 90s, when wind was being developed. When wind energy first really got going, that's when they came into being. And it was a way for the developers to get paid for the renewable aspect of what they were producing. So they would actually sell those certificates to the people that wanted to consume that power. And that became the standard for how power is used in the grid. And now it's used by big business all the time. Utilities have like a mandate to have a certain amount of renewable energy. And that's how they acquire it, is by actually getting those certificates. That proves that they got the rights to so much wind power or solar power or whatever. And so all we've done is we've gone into that same market and acquired specifically rights for solar, and that's what we communicate to the SunPort device.
Oh, so these certificates could be specific to a renewable energy that it's associated with, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. In fact, to a specific system. And so like in our app, we'll actually show you where the solar is that you're using, where it's coming from. And the key thing to understand is that it's an information system. We're not tracking electrons. And so it really is like your bank. Your bank, you get money out of the ATM and it's your money. And that's because of the tracking system that tracks it back to your account. It's not because of the specific bills coming out of the machine. And so, you know, you can even go to a foreign country and get your money in the local currency. It tracks back to your bank account, and it's your money, even though you might get it in yen or, you know, whatever. So,
wow. So we're actually, are you at SunPort on our behalf buying these certificates and sharing with us? Is that
exactly?
Is that how it works?
That's exactly how it works. So we acquire those. That's what the whole system runs on. And then what we've done is we've sort of added to that. We're also doing a dollar for dollar match. So for every dollar spent acquiring these certificates, a matching dollar spent on new solar. And so you're also helping create new solar at the same time that you're consuming solar. And in fact, that new solar is being done for nonprofits, being given to them. And so you're helping out a great cause, you're building new solar, and you're consuming solar energy. That's all rolled up into a product. And then we've broken it down into tiny pieces because the certificates themselves are huge. They're the equivalent to like a residential home for about 40 days worth of power consumption. You know, that's a big chunk of power. And so we've broken them down into tiny pieces that are at a size that is more typical of consumer uses.
Oh, I see. So what you're saying is that, you know, these certificates are really made for bigger agencies, bigger companies, like you said.
The utilities, big companies use them, that sort of thing. Exactly.
And they'll be by the hundreds of kilowatt hours, right, or something like that.
Actually, megawatt hours. And they'll buy you know, thousands of megawatt hours. So, you know, we're breaking them down into tiny little bits, and even a kilowatt hour is actually quite a bit of energy. You know, your laptop computer is using, you know, maybe a kilowatt hour every couple of days, depending on how much you use it, that sort of thing. And so we've broken them down into tiny little bits, and that's what we supply through our system. So
take me through as a consumer of the SunPort. You know, I buy the SunPort device. It's this, you know, if you guys haven't seen this online, it's just basically looks like a little charger port that you'd use for your Apple iPhone or something like that. It looks exactly like that. And you would, you know, plug into that device, and then you have an app on the phone, right?
Correct.
So take us through that a little bit. And how
so the device has Bluetooth communications. It hooks it up to our phone app, and then the phone app is your connection up to the cloud. And so what we've done is we've acquired those rights to solar, and when you are connected to your SunPort, we're able to see how much you've used, and we can actually reload your SunPort with these. We call it these little credits. We call them Sun Joules. Okay, and the Sun Joules are just these teeny tiny little pieces of solar, if you will, that we send from our servers, and so you're able to load up that SunPort, and then you can just, whatever you plug into it begins to consume those Sun Joules in proportion to how much power you're using, and you're actually consuming solar energy in the same way that Apple's using renewable energy in their stores, or, you know, Google's using renewable energy to power their data centers. Same sort of thing, but what you're doing on kind of a micro consumer level.
So basically what we're doing is now, you know, when we buy these credits or these Sun Joules from you, is it based on consumption then, or?
Yes and no. So this is a little bit confusing, but what we've done is when we started, we tried that out, and what we found is that people were concerned about running out of them. And the whole idea is that we want people to, you know, if you're going to use energy, use solar. Okay, and so we created a deal where we say, okay, with your SunPort, like the people that bought them on Kickstarter, we said we'll give you the first year of unlimited solar included in the price. Okay, and so whatever you use is included in that price for the first year. That way, people don't have a sense of limitation. There's a sense of abundance, and they'll use it freely, because we want people to actually be demanding solar rather than just consuming, you know, standard, you know, natural gas or nuke or coal power. We want them to be demanding solar and using solar. And so that's the whole point, is to get more demand for solar, get really consumers involved in driving it faster, so we get more solar in the overall grid.
I see. So buying the certificates allows me as a consumer to support solar energy and support its infrastructure and its build out, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So the developers, the people that own these big systems, basically they produce two things. One is just electricity, okay, and then these certificates that says that it's solar, okay, and the two things get sold separately, because once power is in the grid, it's just power,
right?
And so sometimes they'll sell them together, and they say that's a bundled deal, so you get the solar and the electricity together. But more often than not, they're unbundled, where they have just the electricity is being bought at the price for electricity, and then they sell the certificates separately. And so this is a way that it makes solar actually more profitable for the developer, and it essentially just propels their business forward. So we get more of what we pay for. If we're paying for the solar, we'll get more of it.
So now with these little SunPort blocks, and like I said, everyone, it looks just like a regular phone charger. It's pretty cool, actually. Am I limited to the number of ports I could put on my app or my phone?
No, the Apple's, I don't, I'm sure there's some practical limit, but we basically created it for, as many as you want to use. And so, you could have a dozen of them on there. It's not a problem. And it just kind of creates a little list on the app, and you can name them separately, and it'll actually roll up all of your stats into one. So you kind of, in a sense, the app is supposed to be sort of like a Fitbit for solar, if you will, where you've got this, you're kind of keeping your stats on how you're doing. And then, what we're looking to do now is add social features so that you can share it with other people too, and challenge them and that kind of stuff. Gamify it, really.
Oh, that's cool. No, that's wonderful. So let's shift to some of the Kickstarter stuff that we wanted to talk about, since this is the segment. I think you exited your campaign in summer of last year, I believe, when I was looking at it.
Yeah.
And you shipped your first product in the spring of this year, right?
Correct. Yeah, we shipped. Our goal was to ship by the end of March, and we missed it by I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks. It was really a bad deal. I mean, it was just a whole bunch of little things like customs and actually getting our app through the App Store. That was one of the things. It was just a whole bunch of little things at the end. But I mean, within a couple of weeks, we were on spot, so I couldn't complain too much.
2 weeks is pretty good. I don't think you're the first person to overshoot their delivery date on Kickstarter, so don't feel too bad. But let's talk about your experience with that. Now, is this outsourced overseas just like everything else is?
Yeah. So we have a factory that we were working with over in China, and we've been over there a couple of times. We connected with them at CES a couple of years back, and it was really a fluky thing. We went there with a sort of a spec of what we needed, and we found somebody that could do exactly what it was, and they did it actually a lot better than anybody else we could find anywhere. So it was really good. But there, a lot of challenges and logistics to that, and all of the safety testing was pretty involved and expensive. But it went off pretty much without a hitch. Actually, our biggest headache from a manufacturing standpoint was color. These are painted bright colors, so we've got kind of a magenta, blue, yellow, and a green. They're all really bright. Probably have one sitting around here somewhere I can show you. Here's a couple of them. So there's a magenta, and here's a green one. Nice. They're just really eye candy. That's the idea. We want people to use them in public and kind of show them off. And they light up green. The little solar sign on the front lights up and kind of warbles between green and blue, just so there's something going on there. But getting that paint color was awful. Getting the right color, and then also they had to do so many finish coats on it. They were having problems just maintaining the finish quality. and the reject rate on the finish was really high, so the manufacturer wasn't too happy about that.
Yeah, well, that's on them, right?
Exactly. It was their problem, but even so, it was painful.
But it delayed your ability to ship, but
Exactly.
or capacity to ship, at least at that point. So
Right.
during your Kickstarter campaign, was there anything that kind of surprised you about when you launched a product? You say, I assumed this, and then at the end of the campaign, oh geez, I didn't know.
Oh yeah, I mean there were a lot of things that surprised us. First of all, it's an absolute marathon. You're continually getting hit with questions and comments. You just have to stay on top of it, and I mean, very little sleep for the whole month when we were running it. I mean, seriously, I think I was sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, and answering questions, and we're trying to track what's going on in social media and where people have commented on like articles that were published or something like that. So trying to cover all the bases, that was hard. The other thing is, and we should have known this, but at first we got slammed so hard with all these people that were like, they just were totally calling us scammers and everything, and that it was all just a complete fraud. And that was really hard. I mean, because the thing is, it's hard not to take it a little bit personally. But and there, some people were just genuinely confused, and there were a few trolls that were just just the way they are. So try to do that and give everybody a straight answer, and be give them the benefit of the doubt, assume that they're genuinely interested, and not just being a jerk about it. Admittedly, it's not a product for everybody. I mean, some people just aren't into it. Some people don't care. I mean, hopefully the people that don't care, it's just because they have other things that are sort of pressing in on them. But there are some people that really don't give a rip, and so for me, I think the people that joined us, for the most part, were excited about it, and they did understand it, and they've been very supportive. And so even though there's the bad side, which is some of the trolls, and there's the good side is you get some other people around you that we've had a bunch of people that have helped us, like with the development of our app, and they've been amazing. Where they've given us a ton of feedback and been super patient, and work. I mean, developing some of this stuff, especially if you're not experienced in that field, you're learning a lot along the way, and so having people that work with you and are patient and give you their honest feedback, even when it isn't what you want to hear, at least they're trying to help you do it right and get it, get a good product. That's pretty the cool. In fact, that's an important thing about raising the money, but it's actually about gathering a group that fans of what you're doing and to care about it. I think that's the most important thing.
No, I think that a lot of the Kickstarter campaigns we've interviewed over the years has said basically the same thing. Well, every product's a little bit different, as we talked offline, but the trolls definitely kill you because they suck your time. Time.
Yeah, that's the worst thing.
But the wonderful thing is actually it's almost like I think a Kickstarter, Indiegogo, whatever you want to use, is all about almost like test marketing these days. So
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of a interesting thing. You see how much, like you said, fan base or traction that you'll get out of your product, and go from there. So let's talk about maybe some of the future stuff. What are you guys looking into moving forward on the product line besides just trying to ship more SunPorts?
Well, a lot of what we're doing is focusing on the app. We really want to get gamification into it, and things like leaderboards and giving people ways to associate, so you could have this college versus that college, or the Boy Scouts versus the Girl Scouts, or whatever, some of that kind of fun stuff. and you know, it's easy to do that from a standpoint of how all the data comes together. But the other thing is just trying to make it a little bit more intuitive as well. You know, one of the things that we found is that a lot of the things that we put into the app, they don't play as well in reality as what you picture them to be. And so just trying to make it more intuitive and user friendly. And then, you know, we're also talking quite a bit with a number of different businesses. Number of utilities are really interested in what we're doing because they really want to get people engaged with their energy, and they like the idea of them selling solar as opposed to people putting panels on their roof and kind of checking out of the whole system. So utilities are really interested. Also, we've found some cell phone companies that are pretty interested in what we're doing because of the wireless aspect and the app and whatnot. And, you know, so there's some interest there, and just some of the brands that are into sustainability. So that could help us, you know, get it out there a lot broader.
I mean, your data is going to be probably very valuable. What you guys are collecting, I'm sure. You know.
Yeah, we hope so.
You know,
we hope so. It is interesting to see what you can learn from it for sure.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing your story with us. You know, we're always looking for startups like yours to help. And so anyway, how can people, you know, let's close off the interview. So how can people find out more about SunPort or get a hold of a SunPort?
Yeah, well, so check out sunport.co. Just check out our website. The whole story's there. You can buy the product if you're interested. And you know, we'd love to hear from you. You know, always interested in hearing questions and feedback too.
Right. Okay. Well, anyway, thank you again, Paul. So that was
right.
Paul Droege of SunPort, the CEO, and who has a product that allows you to use solar energy without using solar panels. So anyway, thanks for joining us, everyone. This is Greg Valoria, aka Social Greg on Twitter for the Nerd Stalker Media Network, where we believe in tech, startups, design, and you. Thanks for watching us today, and be careful out there. Thanks again, Paul. Talk to you later.
All right. Take care. Bye, Greg.